Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Chelsea Seeley. This is Life to Light podcast, where I'll be turning life problems into light using God's word. I am so happy to be back and making more videos again. And today I have a very special guest, my cousin.
Yes. Hello. Super excited. I mean, I haven't seen you since,
It's been
you were
a while.
kid.
Yeah.
So it's good to see you and connect and see the light that you're projecting for the community. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah.
And you're Sierra.
Of course. My name is Sierra. I'm excited to just share my journey, share my walk of life with the children, because I feel like I'm a little bit older. I am in my 30s. 32 to be exact. But yeah, I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about relationships, waiting, and just everything
Let's get
that
into it.
involves.
I'm excited.
I feel like just in general, we want people, we want a person. So I feel like in that journey and walk with God especially, it can be hard because you see people around you and they're in relationships, or you want a relationship. So we are waiting and we're like, when will it be my turn? Or do I even have someone?
Right.
So I mean, what do you have to say?
So I feel like I've been single for quite some time. I mean, I'm very transparent. I was in a very toxic relationship for a while. But through that helped me get closer to Christ. Like, I feel like sometimes we go through different seasons, and I call it like pick me. You want to be picked, right?
Yeah.
Whether it doesn't, and there is no age bracket, right? Like you want what you want, but you want what you think you need, and you don't know what you need, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe in the law of attraction. So you are what you project, and that's what you get ultimately, right? So before my walk with Christ, I was very insecure, suffered heavily with identity issues. I didn't know who I was. I was always extroverted, but really in reality, if you really know me, I have very introverted tendencies. But now, obviously, which we'll get more into it, I know my identity. I know who I am. I'm a bold, confident Black woman. I'm very open to whatever, whoever. I try not to judge too much, even though it says in the Bible you can righteously judge. But I'm just, going through the journey, not feeling alone.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I definitely can relate on that. I was myself in a relationship that was toxic. I mean, we were young, so I didn't really know what a relationship includes,
Right.
But also too, in the Bible, it does say that the two should not be unequally yoked. And I feel like that is such a big thing. And that's a thing that I was not participating in. The person who I was with was not a Christian. So, and at the time I wasn't even walking with God. So I didn't know that was a big deal. But I see why now, because the man is supposed to be the leader, the head. And if you are with someone who doesn't know Christ, but you do, then it's not going to go well. It says, what does righteous and unrighteous have in common? Nothing. You can't walk in darkness. And also
I think so for me, I really thought that when I got into relationships, I didn't look at my parental trauma. So I essentially attracted what I thought was love, but I didn't grow up in a very functional household, right? So when you meet different people, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. It's the dichotomy in the relationship, right? And I think there's layers. I think there's theology, and then there's therapy, and then really walking that life. If you don't have therapy, or if you don't understand who you are, you're not even going to understand. You can have the same relationship. It's just unlifting the veil. So you'll get the same spirit, different body.
Yeah.
So when you said that, obviously you are my cousin. I love you, obviously. But I think we all had, family trauma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you grow up in certain situations, my parents weren't married. You may have went through divorce, or maybe even a functional relationship, but you don't know the inner things that they went through. And I think as parents, it is their job to explain, not in the sense of a relationship, what are the things that you went through so you don't pass that down to me?
Yeah.
Because unsubconsciously, you will pass down so much trauma to your child. and not even know.
It's
right?
true, yeah.
Whether it's mental health or ambiguities or the way that we communicate, and what we see as children, we'll grow up as literally glorified children that just happen to have adult body parts. That's what I call it. So when I had my toxic relationship, this was the most eye-opening because I literally had a trauma bond. Every single thing that I experienced in my childhood, he did too. And it was just unresolved. And I take full accountability that I learned a lot through the journey because I'm still learning, right?
Yeah,
but
we all are.
I think the biggest thing is now I'm not in a rush.
Yes. Yeah. And something I'm learning too is, like, I feel like at times I want to just rush into one, but I have to realize I need a relationship with God first. And maybe that's why God is making us wait, because we need to have a firm foundation with him and a firm relationship with him. Like, you know, there's days where I can't even fully read my Bible, or I can't, like, you know.
Why do you feel like that?
I don't know. I think it's just like that there's so much around me that sometimes picking it up just kind of feels like, I don't even know.
Do you feel like sometimes there's a layer of like guilt, or there's a layer of just like sometimes I know when I read the Bible, sometimes like I'll be in tears. It'll be the same thing that I watched maybe like on Passion of the Christ, but when I read Matthew's, it you just feel different. I think especially in your walk, like I tell myself all the time, I'm like, when I was in my relationship, especially the one recently, I'm like, you can do everything over the sun, and if you're a Philistine, it doesn't matter, right? You can really try. Like, I can do this, I could do that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to like open up within themselves, who am I? If Jesus could not move the hearts of certain people because of the quality of who he is, which he gives you the choice, that is not your job to cast a burden. It's just like, so sometimes when I read it, I get overwhelmed and I'm like, I'm gonna just put a pin in it. You know, so
I get that. I think it's also for me I think it's a feeling like there will be days where I will read the Bible and I'll feel him so presently, and it will be just the most amazing thing. I'll have tears and you know, all of it. And then other days it's like, oh, but like, do I need to? And I think those thoughts you can't listen to, you know, and you have to realize that we always need to come to him with all things. And I feel like at times too, I feel like, oh, like, it's okay, I can just do this on my own, but I can't do anything on my own. I need him for everything. So it's definitely just me having to adapt and getting used to always coming to him with all things. And
all things.
Yeah.
It could be the smallest things. Like, even for me, like, one of the things I didn't recognize is like how much I was codependent on people to fulfill my happiness. So even like driving today, I'm like, oh, I'm in Glendale, let me hit up my homeboy. And I'm like, no, or I could just go home. Like, you know, it's those inner things that like I battle with them all the time because, again, like I grew up basically like an only child. My sister and I are 21 years apart, but we don't really talk like that. So when you grow up in a foundation where even you can have like a sibling, but you guys aren't as close, you kind of feel lonely.
Yeah.
You know? So I think the biggest thing, I get excited to read the Bible because it fulfills me.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing is you have to realize that is what he left his word for, to fill us and to encourage us and to give wisdom and knowledge so that we can go into the world and know how to fight those battles that we all go through. So it's very important that I just make it a priority, and before I focus on other people or other things, I need to focus on him first.
Yeah.
And, you know, in Genesis 2:15, it says that the Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." So that's Adam and Eve. So God knew that we would want people, that we need people, not even just relationship, like a romantic relationship, but even friendship, you know? And he knows that we need those people. So he does give us those around us to help us. But we have to realize, are we obeying God though? Or are we listening to the serpent or the devil and falling into sin and temptation? And that's another thing too, like waiting for marriage, you know, a lot of people don't. It's so normalized nowadays. And if you have already fallen, that's completely okay, you know, just get back up, talk to God, come
Mhm.
back to him.
Mhm.
But the reason why he made that so important for us to obey is because it creates soul ties with people, you know, and those are so real.
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even know what that was up
Really?
until maybe a year ago.
Really?
No, girl, I was walking the walk.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was way
Yeah.
before. Like I knew who God was, but absolutely not. Like there's times where I meet people and they're like, keep it going. Like, and I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, oh, the journey. Like,
Yeah.
because again, I didn't know who I was. Like, I'll look back at some of my pictures and oh my God, I cringe just because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Like that's
Yeah.
how you're supposed to get a man. Show a little butt, show a little cleavage. Just basically I use like sex as a weapon, whether that's my body or the way I present myself. So one of the things I do want to commend about you that you got it at such a younger age. I did not get that until I was 30. I'm about to be 32. And I'm grateful that I still have a lot of time and I can
Yeah.
impact change. But girl, there's times I look back and I am making this very weird season where I do forgive myself, but I do have embarrassment because of the decisions that I made. And that is a lie of the enemy. And that's
Yes.
why I do tell people, like, don't be ashamed of the things that you've done because you wouldn't have been able to go through the journey. So kudos to you that you're able to understand that prophecy because I didn't.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people don't. It's so normalized nowadays. Everyone's just like,
Yeah.
oh, like, let's go out, let's do this, let's just have fun. And they just do it like it's something fun, but it's not fun. It's so
It's
real.
not.
And at the end, it just kind of leaves you empty. You know, I mean, if if
So
that person
empty.
leaves you, you're going to be so sad. And that's something that he wanted to save, he wanted to protect us from.
Yeah, I don't think we get it though. I get it now, and that is my goal, like, waiting towards marriage. Seriously, because it, it's so important. Like I didn't even realize how important my body was.
Yeah. I mean, I
Until
didn't either.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't, and I don't even think that's something you could be taught. I think you just have to walk through the journey. And again, I didn't have, and that's another thing. Relationships, I didn't have good sets of friends. I had very again, law of attraction. Like
Yeah.
I think we all suffered identity issues. And I think especially in LA, you're based on vanity.
And I mean, it literally says bad company corrupts good character. So if you're around people who are always pushing that around and, you know, just like, oh, let's just go date this person and this person, this person, you're bound to do the same thing that they're doing and not, you don't know the right way.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, even in the Bible, there were prostitutes like Rahab, Mary Magdalene. She was an adulterer. So you are never too far gone to come back to God through that. And
Absolutely.
he is right there. But we have to realize that it is so important and we have to really see the reason behind it. Why?
Yeah.
So-
I think one of the best scriptures is just like, for me, that always resonates is just like, what is it to have the world if you basically like lose your soul?
Yeah.
You know? Like, what does it profit a man? And that is something I think a lot of people battle to this day because for me, I can't speak on anyone else, but you know, I did have very great opportunities in my life where, yeah, like I can meet someone and go to Turks and Caicos on the weekend and get a Louis bag and have this. No, I'm so serious. And I did not care.
Yeah.
And I can talk to you, and you. And if you're not doing things my way, then bye. And it was just a very narcissistic, selfish mentality that a lot of women, especially beautiful women, will do.
Yeah.
And eventually you get dry to the point you're like, well, why isn't it happening the way I want it to be? And I felt like last year was probably one of my lowest points because I did want to commit suicide. And everyone was like, but you have everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The only thing that helped me have peace is God.
Yes.
That's the only thing. Like, I don't care what a person, I've seen it all, been through it all, and especially I've dated people who I thought were like rich in the sense of like, oh, he drives this or he has this. He has daddy issues,
Yeah.
honey. He has mommy issues. So when the the times where I was at my lowest point, God is like, I'm filtering you, I'm nurturing you, so you have no choice but to come to me.
Yeah.
And even when you think about like Matthew Perry, he had the world, and he was not understanding. And even he had a glimpse of understanding, because he said his very specific prayer,
Really.
God, give me these opportunities. But was he praying to the right God?
Yeah. it's a
No,
thing.
because it doesn't matter. So I always try to tell people, especially on my Instagram, like, even if you don't pray or believe in God, pay it forward.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because you
Yeah.
just don't know what a person's going through.
You don't.
I don't care how beautiful a person looks on the outside. What are the insides? So for me, I always tell people, like, just read a scripture a day, not from your phone, not from your phone, from the hard book.
Yes,
Because there
right here.
is something resonating that you will get
Yeah.
when you read from the actual word. And even if it don't make sense, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Leviticus. I don't, because it's
Why?
annoying. Because there's too many offerings. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to. As a regular person, that's why he's like, you know what? I'm not going to keep on using these makeshift things like animals. I am
Yeah.
going to bring my son down to make it
Amen.
easy so you could pay it forward. So if you can't do that, then don't sit there and scrutinize someone else because they're trying to make it to the kingdom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I really love the word because it really makes sense.
It
Like,
does.
to the point they're like, okay, well, we're doing all these old things, we're not seeing anything, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes you kind of hinder yourself from getting your own blessing, because God could have been like, it was just one more thing, but it's like, let me just put my son forward.
Yes.
And even Jesus was tired.
He
So
was.
if Jesus was sweating blood because he was exhausted from the heart of these wicked people, we got to spare each other grace.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. Yeah. I mean, we just can't fall into that temptation. And when we do, he's going to be right there to lift us up.
Yeah.
And we really have to stay in his word, because that's the only thing that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's him, it's living, he's alive, he's here. And we just have to chase him and run to him.
Mhm.
Because like you said, you can have everything in the world and it won't satisfy you.
Well,
It's all temporary, and you can't bring any of it to heaven with you.
right.
You can't, when you die,
Mhm.
it's all going to be
Yeah.
meaningless. So
I think that's why I think they say it's like sexual immorality is like mentioned so many times, because I don't know if you ever been through it or any of y'all have been through it, but like, have you ever been with someone and you bust your butt to be with them and you're like, oh my God, this it. And then you finally get to that point where you see something, you're like, I wish I never seen that. And you're like, you know what? I'm just go ahead and ignore that. And then it just gets worse. And it's like, well, like, what is it that, like, why do I still now have a bond? Well, it's like your souls are intertangled. So all that trauma that you did not like, that's in you now.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? So that's the biggest thing for me, that I'm like, if I already know I got 31 years of trauma, because your girl was moving. You know, I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is.
Saved by the grace of God.
Yeah. So now I'm like, if this is who I am, and I'm constantly, it's like a plant. I'm constantly feeding myself. I'm constantly nurturing myself. That's all. I was like, you know what? That's a lie of the enemy, whatever happened to you today. Because you're going to have a breakthrough. When you change your mentality, like, okay, this happened, but I'm closer to my breakthrough. Because everything is about stages. You're blessed, you'll be broken. You'll be blessed, you'll be broken. And all the times that you're broken, you're preparing for something greater.
Yeah. And you know, it's I was at a church service, and they were talking about like sin and everything, and they said God will not be where sin is, you know, and he's not going to bless a relationship if you're living in that sin.
Yeah.
So it's just best to wait, and it's just best to not chase a relationship, because when the time comes, it will come. And literally in Genesis 29:20, Jacob he worked really hard and he waited 7 years for Rachel. And then
That's
you know,
beautiful.
Ruth and Boaz, I love
that story.
So
I like literally have like chills. That
oh really?
I do, because I feel like we live in a society where they're watering that down. They're watering down the mentality of men, who men are. They're watering down women of purpose, right? So when I look at you, I look at, like, obviously you're beautiful on the outside, obviously. Thank you, Taylor Jeans. Thank you, Jones Jeans. But your inside is pure. So you're I know you're going to find that person,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
But you're open to receive it. And I know that God is going to bless you.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, like, our society is like, you got to be after the person you want. You have to do. It's like, no, like, we're, first of all, we are women, right?
Yeah.
We are the incubators of love. We are not the creators of love.
Exactly.
We're not.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't work like that. I don't know too many lions that are like, you know, let me just go ahead and chill and relax. Let this woman come up to me, and I guess we'll make it work.
Mm-mm. It literally says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Come on.
So we just need to not rush. We need to just wait on God's timing. And in the meantime, instead of chasing after that, chase after him. Because the more you chase after him, the more you will find him. The more he will just shower you with everything you need.
Amen.
He will not leave any good thing that you need out. And in that timing, you're going to see that it was so much more beautiful chasing after him than chasing after the world and chasing after
brokenness.
Things. Yeah.
Like, I always like love looking at different situations. Like, I love how people find inspiration in like different aspects of life. But I think the biggest thing is like, when you're in this isolation period, that's what I call it, you are able to identify things about yourself.
Yeah.
But when you're in a relationship that's toxic, it's always about, why did you do this to me? Why didn't you do this? And when you're embedded in relationships, you're actually not having that proper amount of time to do your due diligence within yourself. So I always call it the exciting period. Wake up by yourself. That is great. Because once you're with someone, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the rest of your life. Like, what if you don't like that, certain aspects about them? And it could be the pettiest thing. And that's okay to have the power of a choice because God serves us that. So my biggest thing is like, I am super OCD. I'm very clean. I like things very organized. And the last person I dealt with was not. And I'm like, okay, like, I was like, we'll get better. That's not how it works. And
we can never change anyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
People think we can change people. You can't change anyone. Only God can change someone.
Yeah. So I always say, when I tell, like, when you pray, get ready for God to answer.
Amen.
And it may be removal.
Yeah.
Like, and I use that analogy because I deserve to have someone for me that's just as organized. So then I'm not trying to, make them be someone that they're not. Because there's another person out there who's like, I don't care. You can put your shoes anywhere.
Yeah.
Or there is this thing called compromise, right? It's, you find a person that's like, you know what? I don't usually do this, but I'm willing to try it. And I think that oftentimes when you walk with the light, you walk with faith, you walk with your testimonies, there's other like-minded people. It's like, you know what? Like, I literally love this about this person, which is similar to Boaz, because it's like, I knew your journey and I see the will in you. So when I think of you, like, again, like, I'm just so tremendously proud of you that you're getting it now. But the biggest thing is about telling people the righteousness of God and not being corny. I don't like corny Christians. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it's annoying. I think it's forceful, and I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it's like, oh, you're a sinner. We all sin.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
We all fall short of the glory of God.
We all have different things we have to work on, but I just don't like that energy of force.
Yeah.
Because even at the time when people try to tell me about myself, it actually made me flee more.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this time, we just really need to learn who God is and learn who we are through him. And he's just going to fix all those things that we need fixed and make us into the wives that we need to be in due time.
Yeah. How do you feel like your journey is going thus far since the transition of like fully being a believer, fully going into it where you're like, you can have the right to be picky? How do you feel? Do you feel empowered sometimes? Do you feel like, oh my God? Like, how do you feel?
It's definitely a mix. God has transformed me so much. He's definitely removed a lot of people, and it's for the best. I mean, he will remove people that no longer serve any purpose in your life, but he has definitely added people who love Christ like I do.
Yeah.
So that has helped my journey.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's times where, I will be in a period where I won't really be so up and all the way, but I just remember that Christ gives me strength and I rely on him and not my own understanding.
Come on.
So it's been good though. For the most part, it's been so
Overall.
good. He's been so good to me. He shows up and I just see him working and moving, and it's just me walking by faith.
And you have an incredible mother too.
I do.
You
She
do.
is so
I
good.
love her.
Yes.
I think that's honestly, like one of the people that I would say through like the start, finish, never judge me.
Yeah. Wow.
Never judge me.
Yeah.
Always has just been kind. And that's one of the things. It's actually, so it's like they say in psychology, when you have children and like, let's say they suffer some type of issue, whatever the case may be, they usually say like, oh, the father wasn't in the home. But that's actually not necessarily true. It's the mother that showed the unhappiness or happiness within the home.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that you are who you are. Because like, even if it was bad, sad, or indifferent, she always was consistent. Like there'd be times I'm like, how do you do this? Like, and she was a super inspiration because who's doing a PA at her like at the time period that she did, and she like paying it forward.
My mom's a physician assistant. So,
yes.
She loves the Lord so much. Same with my dad.
So much.
I'm so blessed that I was able to grow up in a Christian household for sure, with parents who love and know the Lord. Oh, thank you. That's my dad. But thank you.
He was like, I think that's another thing. Like he was my escape. He was always like the fun, crazy person that would play with us. And again, like those different like roadmaps to know like you can be whomever you are, but just keep on just going in the position of what Christ has for you. So I'm not surprised that you're who you are. And I'm so proud of you. Again.
You too. You have so much wisdom and knowledge, and God's going to continue just blessing you. And
I receive it.
Yes.
Still work in progress.
We all are.
Yeah. But you just got to keep it going. And just, my biggest thing is like just to continue to spread love and joy, even though there's times where I'm like, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
There's times I'm frustrated. There's times where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, why did you choose me to be the boldsy one? Or why did you choose me to always feel like if something's happening, I always have to speak up? But then like the more you embrace it, you continue to move forward. So I'm just very happy again, like I said, to know you are in that Gen Z pool, because I know when I'm being a millennial, especially having very older parents, they don't get it sometimes, but you help them understand. No matter it's, and here's the thing, you just pray.
Yes, prayer works. Prayer is
all the time.
Yeah, prayer is good. Like, just talking to him, and he always answers on time.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining. This was a great talk.
I'm appreciative, and I would love to come anytime.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were encouraged, and just keep waiting. Keep the faith. God's got you. I will see you on the next episode. Bye.